Hey, welcome to Trick Taking Table. I'm 31, that's right, birthday boy, I'm the birthday boy. Anyway, we are here to celebrate you. That's right, we're opening gifts. That's right. One of you just won this. And in this video, because we're celebrating 55 subscribers. Oh, amazing, absolutely amazing. We're giving away a bajillion games. We're giving away the titular games, Yokai Septet, 2 copies. Oh, thank you so much to Dan. We'll cover all that in a bit. Tooth and Claw, again, the video is about that game. And finally, the last one in here, only one collection. That's right, it's a select collection push your luck game by none other than Cat in the Box and Yokai Septet designer Muneyuki Yokauchi. I think I said that right. I don't know, it's my birthday. I don't have to worry about pronunciation on my birthday. And without further ado, I have delayed it long enough. This, picking the funniest joke was impossible. I went through so many friends gauging what they thought was funny, gauging the timing of the joke. Some of these jokes were better written, some of them were better said. It was absolutely brutal. So we're gonna have some honorable mentions. We're gonna have a little chuckle for my birthday. I'm just gonna pull them up here, and we're gonna have the finale is gonna be who won it. So I'll save that joke to the end. But I do wanna highlight some absolutely sensational stand-up comedy, or kind of sit down and type comedy, I guess. Okay, we have from Shreesh, an absolute banger. What would happen if a dice would fall off a cliff? It dice. Too good, too good. Then we have from Luis, my dog keeps wrapping things in cardboard. He's a boxer. We love that. So many amazing jokes from y'all that were boxing related, which you love when someone goes above and beyond, right? One of my favorite games is Decrypto, and they have this expansion called Laser Disc or Laser Drive or whatever, where you have to give clues pertaining to a category. So the fact that people picked Boxing Day or boxes or boxer related sometimes trick related jokes was very, very impressive. So totally bonus points for that. One of my favorites, this is really good. This was, it was like a twist on a classic, right? So you have that joke where timing, you know, and then you say, what's the most important part of comedy? But look what Zach did, so ingenious. Timing as the first comment, and then the reply was, do you know what the most important part of comedy is? So clever. I think one of the most important uses of the medium in terms of just a comment, a YouTube comment. So Zach, you got second. I'm so sorry that you did not get first. Sadly, sadly for everyone besides, not sadly, happily for everyone, well, sadly for everyone who didn't get it, but happily for the winner, Zane Glasser, which, I don't know why I love this joke so much. I think it's just rings true. It is, my blood is typo. Why is that making me laugh? I don't know. I feel bad. If you don't find it funny, I'm sorry. It's my birthday, and I apologize to everyone besides the winner, Zane. So Zane, reach out. There's a link tree below. You can send me your contact details, and I'll ship you the elusive, amazing Nokosu dice. Okie dokie, artichoke, on to today's video. So the lovely, amazing Dan at Ninja Star, who, when we were chatting, I talked to Dan at PAX Unplugged in the last video. I feel like there's like a weird narrative on this channel of like through lines. But last episode, previously on Lost, there was a situation where I was talking to Dan, and I'm like, hey, I want to do a Yokai video actually. That's so funny. And he said, if you do, let me know and I'll send out a copy of Yokai to someone as well. So thank you so much, Dan. We're giving away 2 copies of Yokai. One from me, one from Dan. Also, I am giving out only one collection. And there will be a video on this on my side channel in a bit. Essentially, it's a push your luck set collection game by the designer of Cat in the Box and Yokai Septet. So it has kind of that wonderful, wonderful art that you might have seen on some of the previous games like Cat in the Box. And last but absolutely not least, because we're going to cover it in the video, is Fukutaro's Tooth and Claw, which is another game Dan gave me to do a video on, and then this is actually going to be the copy that goes out. So, whoo, I feel like I'm talking a mile a minute. I think if you want any of the games that I've listed, so that is a copy of Yokai Septet, Tooth and Claw, only one collection, put down below any or all three or two of the three or whichever ones you want. And then in addition to that, I think I got to simplify because that joke one was brutal to work through which jokes, especially because I thought some were so good and I didn't want to like not give the game away to someone who I thought did an amazing job making me laugh, making my friends laugh, really. I think we got to simplify it. Just put your favorite color. So easy, so simple. In fact, to celebrate, someone for my birthday who gave me a giant rainbow slinky. Huh? Right? They had a good point when they gave me this gift. They said, what do you get a man who has it all? You get them a giant rainbow slinky. Absolutely sensational. So, in the comments, post your favorite color and which of the three, or all of the three, or some of the three that you wanted. We'll get those out to you. Whew. Crazy, crazy intro. Without further ado, because it's already going to be a really long video. First up, we have Yokai Septet. So this is one of my favorite trick-taking games. Spoiler alert, I think it is possibly a lot of people's favorite trick-taking games. Maybe even Matthew Jude, who has This Game's Broken and Watch It Played. We talked about this one being such a wonderful tension-filled game right from the start. It is partnership at 4. Oh, sorry, the hook is a partnership game at 4 and is an individual game at 3, interestingly. And also in this video, we're going to teach the 2-player variant by Sean Ross. Absolutely sensational. But the premise is you either want to collect 4 of a certain type of card or make the other opponents or the other team or the other player at the table at 2. You want to make them collect a bunch of tricks and make them bust. So it's a weird push and pull because you want tricks, but you don't want empty tricks. You want those tricks that have those juicy, juicy 7 cards, those boss yokai. That, again, designed by Muneyuki Yokai. Oh my gosh, I'm losing it. Okay, second game we're covering, Tooth and Claw by Fukutaro. We covered his Familiar's Trouble in the past, which is super fun, that co-op trick-taking game. This one is a puzzle game that uses trick-taking rules. It's almost like a puzzle battle game. I guess the hook is you draw cards from your deck, they're kind of double suited, and you put them in a certain formation, and then you reveal part of it, and then you're battling each other using trick-taking rules, trying to capture cards, get points, whoever has the most points wins. I'll show you how to play that right after Yokai. And then at the end, we're gonna wrap it all up with final thoughts. I'm just explaining how videos work. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, amazing. This blows me away. Whew. Again, thank you from the bottom, top sides of my heart. It means the absolute world. Y'all are just so sweet. Seeing the same names in the comments and just always reaching out and having just the kindest things to say. It definitely means so much. Here's to more videos and more trick-taking. Anyway, let's go to the table and I'll teach you those 2 games. The deck in Yokai Septet is made up of 7 suits and they all have different numbers. Like this blue suit here is ranged from 7 all the way up to 13. But as you can see on this card, all the suits, the 7 suits in the game, actually have different rankings. Like the green goes from ace all the way to 7, whereas, like the yellow goes from 4 to 10. The helpful thing is it does say the range of that suit on the side here and the relative strength of the card on the left. Yokai Septet can be played with 4 players or 3 players. If you play with 4 players, like we have set up here, it's actually a partnership game where the players on the same team are the ones sitting across from each other. So in this setup, we have the quarter team, we have heads and tails, and then we have kind of the Gloomhaven and Frosthaven coins. So it's kind of a battle of the coins here, where you have the heads over there and then the tails over here. In a 3-player game, You just play individually, which I'll teach in a little bit, and I'm also going to show off the 2-player variant because I thought that'd be fun. So to set up the 4-player variant, again, players sit across from each other, and you deal 12 cards to each player. There's going to be 1 card left over. That's going to be flipped, and that is going to dictate the trump suit for the hand. We also have the point tokens up here set aside that players will collect at the end of the hand. After the deal, players are going to pass 3 cards to their partner. So maybe this top right, the tails coin is going to pass 3 over here. It happens simultaneously, so maybe the heads coin passes 3 to the tails. And then for the very first hand, whoever has the A in green is going to reveal it, and they are going to lead to the first trick. In the game, they actually give a lead player card, which is super helpful. So you can just pass that to the player who revealed the A. Jumping into the first trick with the lead player, maybe they play a 9 in red. So Yokai Septet is a must-follow game. So looking at this bottom person's hand here, they don't have any red, so they can play whatever they want. Maybe they just short suit and play a green 6. Coming to the other quarter person, they have a few different options here. Maybe they just play this 10. And finally, coming to the Gloomhaven player, they have also a few different options. They can either win it or give the other person or the other team a 7, which they don't want to do. So maybe they just win it. So who wins the trick is the highest of the lead suit, unless there's trump. And again, trump is yellow. So since there's no trump, it's just this red 12. They'll collect the trick. And an important part of the game is if there's any 7s in the hand, you'll take them out and you put them face up in front of your team. If not, you're just going to take the trick and you kind of stair step the trick. So like, let's say the other team took the second trick, they would have done this because it's important in the game if someone hits 7 tricks. So the winner of the trick will just lead to the next trick. Maybe they lead red again in an interesting move. The game is must follow. So coming to the top right coin player here, as you can see, they don't have any red. And they want to win this because there is a juicy 7 in the trick. The highest of the trump suit would win unless, as we talked about, the ace is played. So this actually beats all the trump. So maybe this player plays that to try to win something good. When it comes to the bottom right player, they don't have any of the red, so they can play whatever they want, but they know that the top right player is going to win, so they just play that. The bottom left player had a false suit, so the winner of the trick is the top right because they played this is the strongest card ever. And any 7s get taken out first and get put in front of the team. And then you also do the same thing. You also keep track of the tricks. So we'll do that, and then they'll lead to the next trick. So let's say we fast forward and they win this somehow. This person didn't have any green, so they short suited with trump. And this person plays that. So highest of the trump wins if there's any trump, which would be this 8. So these players, they'll put the 7 in front of them. They'll collect the trick, kind of stair step. And this is going to keep going until one of 3 conditions. If any team gets 4 7s in front of them, say like on the 4th trick or something, this team over here got their 4th 7, that would immediately end the hand. Or if that doesn't happen, if a team gets 7 tricks, so as you can see here, they're already at 2. If they hit their 7th trick and they haven't gotten 4 or more 7s, then they bust and the other team wins. The last possibility, if neither of those first 2 happen, is if when you go to play, no one has cards left in their hand, then the team with the lead player card would win the round. How the scoring works is only the team that won is going to score points. So let's go back to the first example where if you got 4 7s, say these were the 4 7s that the Gloomhaven team won. So you look at the white stars in a 4-player game, and then in a 3-player game, you look at the black stars. So you count them up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the Gloomhaven Frosthaven team would get 5 points. An important thing is you first, before you score, would remove any of the trump 7s. So let's say if blue was trump and not yellow in this game, this would actually be removed. So they would have only gotten 3 points. Scoring for the other condition, if a team gets 7 tricks and they don't have 4 of the bosses, the other team wins and they get any of the 7s in the losing team's hand. So say if this was the Gloomhaven hand who was part of the team that just busted, they would have to look at the 7s and give them to the other team. The team also gets to collect points for any 7s they won earlier. Like let's say they had one, that has no points on it. Let's say they had one, this one. So they would have gotten 2 points. And then also looking at these cards, first again, trump is not worth anything, but then they would have gotten 1 more point because it was in the Gloomhaven hand. Keep playing rounds until one of the teams gets 7 or more points. If they do, they win. the person who won the last trick gets the lead player, and then you would just lead to the start of the next hand, and you would keep playing. Let's say that other quarter player went home and you only have 3. For the 3-player setup, you deal 16 cards to each player. Again, you're going to have 1 left over for trump. You're also going to have that lead player, similar. In the scoring for this game is, you're trying to capture 3 of the bosses. If you capture 3, you're going to score and do well. However, again, if you take 7 tricks but haven't gotten the 3 or more of the boss 7 cards, you lose and the other players win. And finally, that third case is if there's no cards to play, the lead player would win. The scoring's similar, so any 7s in the trump suit don't score, but then you look at if the person who took 3 of them gets those points, then they would just, add up the white symbols on their cards. But if a player took 7 tricks, then the other players just get 3 tokens each. Same thing, if any player gets 7 or more, the game ends and they win. If there's a tie, it's the player who last round ended with 1 player taking 7 tricks, and that's how to play at 3. Here we have the 2-player setup for the variant by Sean. It is using strawmen, and if you want to know more about strawmen, you can check out the My Vidrasso video, but essentially this is part of your hand as well, but a lot of it is open information. So how it's set up is you deal 7 face down to each player, and then 6 face up, kind of in between the cards, if you can see that here. There's 2 face down and 1 on top, so kind of a little bit like a pyramid. And then 11 to each player. The dealer is going to have the lead card, and there's a little bit more to set up. So each player is going to look at their 11 cards, pick one of them they don't want in the game, and they're going to just discard those 2 without either player looking at them. So everyone is going to have 10 cards in their hand, and then 13 face up in front of them. Also, if you want, you can look out and see if you have any 7s face up in front of you, and if you want to, you can take one of the 7s and swap it with either of the face down ones in front. So maybe this player over here doesn't want this 7 here, they'll put it face down, and then they're going to flip over, and it's going to put that 10 on top that was face down here. If it's revealed another 7, you can kind of pick which 7 you want, but you're kind of stuck after that happens. So lead player will lead to the trick, and it's just like normal Yokai Septet. So it's must follow. So say this player who had the lead plays the yellow. The game is where this is your hand and this is your hand. So the player over here can play any of these yellows, or they can play any of these yellows from their hand. So if they played this, they would have taken the trick, right? Or they could have played this and taken the trick. And if any card over here is unrevealed, they flip it and it's now revealed and part of their hand of cards that they can play right away. And similarly, up here, this person played and revealed. Let's look at another example. So the 10 took it, they keep track of it like that. If they would have played maybe the 6, and then they would have taken it, well, they didn't have to play that 11. But let's say they played the 9. So they would have taken it over here. If a card that was played doesn't fully reveal underneath cards, you don't flip yet. So like, as you can see here, these 2 cards are covered by this, and then this one over here is covered by this. You wouldn't reveal yet. So you keep going back and forth, and there's new limits now. So you still want 4 or more bosses that will end the hand immediately. But now the second end condition is if a player takes 13 tricks but hasn't gotten 4 of the bosses yet. And then if neither of those happen, it's actually whoever takes the last trick in the round now. Other than that, scoring is the same, and you're also still trying to get 7 over the course of a round, and that's how to play the 2-player variant of Yokai Septet. The deck in Tooth and Claw is actually 2 decks, 1 for each player. So there's a light deck and a dark deck, making up 22 cards of the same composition. So there's 2 suits, and they're numbered 0 through 9, and then 12. Here we have the game somewhat set up for the 2 players. So each player grabs a deck. It's random who is the first attack. Let's just give it to the Gloomhaven person. And now each player is going to choose which tactics they want. So there's the bow tactic, swords tactic, and shield tactic. Let's say the Frosthaven person picks the bows, and the Gloomhaven person picks the swords. So you would just discard all the shield tactics for this game. And depending on which tactics you took, you're going to take a certain amount of these blank cards. So if you took the bow, you'll take 3, but if not, you'll take 2. Over here, the swords will take 2, and the bows will take 3. There are 6 formation cards, and there's 2 in each age. So 1, 2, and 3. We're going to just look at the top 2 here. And so a formation is going to be what card formation each player is going to put in, and what is going to happen to some of the cards in that area, or if there's going to be blanks in that area, which I'll explain just in a bit. Now players will shuffle their decks and draw 7 cards. At the same time, players are going to be looking at the cards in their hand and judging which tactic they want to use for the given age. So in the first age, I guess in all ages, you have 2 tactics, and that's going to just dictate kind of what happens to your cards and in what formation. So looking at this and looking at this, maybe this player chooses this tactic, and then the other just is out of this game. So there's our 7 cards. Maybe this player chooses this tactic. You're going to pick at the same time and then reveal. So these 9 spaces on these cards are kind of the battle line, in a way, of what your kind of army is fighting off against the other person's army. As you can tell, there's 7 light spots. Those are going to be their 7 cards. And then there's these 2 blank spots, which are going to be the blank cards that you took earlier. How it works is you're just going to kind of move these a little bit so you can kind of see where you want to put cards, but also you're going to have enough room to start placing your cards. So I don't know if there's enough space on this table, but we're going to try. So as you can see here, it's maybe you can't. But as you can see here, there's these 7 spots that this player is going to place. So there's more thought to this, but let's say this person wants maybe just their 9 there and 6 there. And so both players are kind of placing these out right now. And let's actually just move their deck and their tactics for now and who they are and some of that. So then let's say they do this. And then of course the blank spaces always have to go in the same blank space spot. Both players are going to be doing this. In fact, let me slide this a little bit and cut the camera and do this person's battle line. I was actually a little too hasty in the setup. What you actually do is you first place your front row and your second row, which is your vanguard and your rear guard, at the same time. And then once both players have that done, then you reveal. So all these cards in the first 2 rows are going to be face up. And then after that happens, players are going to take their leftover cards and they're going to put them however they want it, face down, and it's going to remain face down. So a little bit of information after you see how your opponent has kind of positioned their army. Once you have the formation set up, as you can see, some of the spaces have special things, like this says rank +1. The game itself comes with cubes and tokens to help remember this, but essentially you add whatever kind of special power to the card on that slot. So say if you put a 6 here, this is now a 7. One important symbol, which I didn't explain, is this symbol right here that says reveal a card from your deck. So instead of placing this 2 here, the player would just flip and add 1 there, which is super helpful because now players will have an extra card that they can carry over to the next round. The last thing to talk about is where you put this circle token on any spot that says wild, and this just means this card can be played as either its own suit or the other one, so in this case red or blue. Once we have the armies all set up, now starting with the first player, they are going to attack the other player. So the attacking player chooses one of their front 3 cards, so the vanguard here, and they're actually attacking the rear guard of the other player. So let's say that this player attacks with the 9 of red. So Tooth and Claw is a must-follow game. So this is kind of the trick-taking part of it. So the defending player would look in the back here, and they have to play a card of the same suit if they can. So as you can see here, they would have to pick one of these 2. If they play a card that's below, so say they pick the 9, the winner of the trick would just collect both cards to the trick. If it was tied, like this scenario, so 9 and a 9, both the players just take back their own card. Let's say that happens, so the Gloomhaven and the Frosthaven player both take the 9s. In this game, if there's ever an empty spot, you just advance your formation to the next spot. If that does make a face down card come into one of the first 2 rows, it does flip it. So now that's open information. And then for the next combat or trick, the person who was on defense is now on offense. So it'll just go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. It doesn't matter who won the trick or who played the strongest attack. So then this player is going to play their card. So if they play this 12, since it is must follow, this player has to play the 3. And so this player would win. They would capture the trick. This slides forward, and then again, whoop, okay, there it goes. Let's say that was what was there. This slides forward and reveals. A couple of things to note, like let's say later on, this goes, and this goes, and this goes. If you have no cards in your rear guard and your back's empty, or something like this happened, right, where there's actually no cards in your rear guard, but this card is still full, you do follow suit with one of these cards. Also, I moved these forward incorrectly. Let's say it was like this, and this was the situation. You actually never move any blank cards. So your resource would come straight to the vanguard in the front row and flip. And the last thing to note, let's say this was the attacking player right here. They played the 12. If this 0 got played, The 0, regardless of suit, is going to beat the 12. After all the cards are out, we're going to fast forward to the end of the hand, so just the scoring, and players are going to look at the number of green dots and all the cards that they captured, count them up, and those are the points they got for the round. So in this case, 3 far, they got 5 points. Then you would discard the 7 cards that you used, kind of the ones that you captured. You would draw 7 more, and then you'd pick your second formation. So you have over here another choice. These get a little saucier, as you can see, a rank +2. That's fun. And then you would do that, and then go and do it for the 3rd round. And after 3 rounds, whoever has the most points wins. So that is Yokai Septet and Tooth and Claw. Let's talk about Yokai Septet first. First off, I love the art in this game. It makes all the suits kind of stand out and have different personalities, which kind of emphasizes the fact that all the suits are different in the game. I love the graphic design that includes the rank on the side of the cards to help you know, a 5 in this suit might not be as strong as a 5 in a different suit. In fact, all the suits are pretty different. They give different feelings, like, the blue suit has more points than maybe the black suit. And while that doesn't seem like it's too big of a deal, I think it definitely does change when a certain suit is trump and when that 7 is worth 0 points. It gives the game, even though it does feel somewhat similar hand to hand, it gives it just a little bit of spice where you're like, oh geez, like in this game it's not worth that many points, or in this one the high point 7 is actually worth 0. So that's fun to have slightly different feeling hands. Also, this was, I think, my first partnership game. I played this before Tichu, and it helped me get into the mindset of how to help a partner, what to show them, what to pass them. There's not too much in terms of signaling that you can really play off of. Either you're short suiting yourself, or you're showing which suit you can take some in, or you're passing someone the highest of a suit knowing that you have the 7, and then when you play it, they should hopefully probably catch that 7. There's just a good amount of decision, but not too much, for this to be a really wonderful partnership trick taker to learn partnerships, but also once you get in the thick of it, still meaty enough to really play over and over and over. In fact, I was in a tournament, and it was a really great tournament game because you can kind of get into a rhythm of the game, and once you play a lot, you can kind of learn what your partner passes and what they kind of are signaling with their pass. And I feel like there's a kind of a culture and a meta you can get into, which I think is a wonderful sign of a good partnership game. And even the game itself, from a trick-taking point of view, or even at 3-player, it feels so great because every trick matters. You're either getting a 7 or multiple 7s that push you towards one end of the game, or you're getting a trick, which you don't want, which is push you towards another end game condition. It almost feels like, maybe this is weird to say, but like Pandemic, right? Either you're moving toward the good game end condition by your actions, or you're drawing through that deck and you're moving toward the bad game end conditions. There's not much fluff in the game. In fact, there's really no fluff in the game. Every trick matters. Every trick is like this progress bar, or, one of the 2 progress bars is moving forward. Or I guess there's 3 or 4 in the game, right? Because you have the other team winning 7 tricks, you winning 7 tricks, and then also you winning 4 7s, and then the other team winning 4 7s. It's kind of like this this progress bar game, and maybe I'm just thinking like a person who's been perpetually online my whole life. All that to say, it gives the game a very hurdling feeling, a very immediate action feeling. You're in the thick of it, and you're at the end of the thick of it very quickly in this game. You can kind of feel the pressure and feel how tense it is right away, which I really, really love. In fact, I think this is going to get the seal. Yeah, so definitely check this out. I think this is one of the best, kind of cleanest trick-taking designs you can show anyone. And after that, we have Tooth and Claw. And so, grain of salt, which we'll put here, I actually know Fukutaro, and we've hung out and met, and I would feel biased giving, the award or anything. So I'm just going to talk about this game from that kind of perspective, so keep any bias in mind. In fact, Yokai Septet I was able to talk about because I don't really know the 2 designers, Muneyuki Yokauchi, and I think it's Yo. So just keep that in mind. So what do I think about the game? Well, first off, I think this is probably one of the more gorgeous games I have. I know we've kind of talked in the past a bit about how like trick-taking design has almost gone from just like colors and numbers to just being like pretty gorgeous art. And you probably saw it in the playthrough, but I just think the card art, just how it evolves and gets stronger and stronger and just so gorgeous. It's kind of wild how it's one of those just moments where you're like, wow, trick takers are kind of getting absolutely gorgeous, and something that can bring people to the table when they're walking by. I know table presence is such a funny thing to bring up when it's just cards, but this definitely has it. But to the gameplay, we talked about this where we cover the crew at 1. It is more of a puzzle kind of battler game using trick-taking rules than it is a trick-taking game. So I would recommend it if you like kind of this back and forth logic puzzle and you had trick-taking knowledge, because you still use it. You still will know, okay, then they have to follow off that, and they'll have to, you know, play this certain card because of trick-taking. But it definitely is more of like a, I don't want to call it like programming, but more of like an action planning game. And it has that feeling of using the face-up cards and like the knowledge of trick-taking to help that planning phase. So it is more of like an action back and forth kind of fighting game. I haven't really played anything like it. It's hard to kind of compare to anything. I hope the gameplay maybe shows off a little bit of what kind of game it is. But I think if you do like using, you know, certain rules like trick-taking to plan actions, and it's more of like a if this then that type of vibe, then I think you'll definitely like this game. But overall, I haven't played the advanced parts of Tooth and Claw enough to really sink my teeth and my claws into the gameplay and see how it kind of evolves. I'd be curious to see where it goes for sure. I hope that at least gives you some kind of sense of the game. And again, I've hung out. Fukutaro actually gave me a wonderful tonkatsu recommendation, so take everything with a grain of salt with maybe some tonkatsu sauce. Anyway, that is Yokai Septet and Tooth and Claw. And I want to say thanks again so much, a million, to Dan for sending out both this copy of Tooth and Claw, which is going to go to someone, and also a copy of Yokai Septet. I think this is so amazing. It's made for such a wonderful birthday. I think it's a little backwards that I'm giving out gifts on my birthday, but you know, you get older, you get more mature, and you realize it's good to pass along the love as opposed to taking it all. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and you know what? Happy birthday to you. Yes, you who's watching it. Statistically, that should work out. Someone watching this probably is having a birthday. If it's your birthday right now, go into the comments and say happy birthday to someone else. I don't know. I didn't really think about that. Well, you get the idea. Anyway, happy birthday. Bye.